Alright, so today, the Theater Kids Avengers Endgame release in theaters, also known as the movie Wicked. I got to go see it today. What was my thoughts? Here we go. Alright, so heading into Wicked, I was very mixed on this movie going into it. Because on one hand, found the trailer to be fine. I didn't hate the trailer, but I also thought it was kind of dumb that they were doing like two parts and like both of them would be 3 hours long. I was like, that's kind of dumb. And then I didn't hate the trailer. I thought it was fine, but then I still had some reservations going off the trailer. Like, is this movie going to be for me? Looks to be for the girl crowd. Am I going to like this movie? Is it going to fit for me? Had a lot of reservations going into this movie, and then the reviews came out, and a lot of them were over the top, ecstatic, and positive. So I genuinely, going into this movie today, was genuinely excited. I was interested to see what this movie would bring. I am an enjoyer of musicals. They're like a guilty pleasure of mine that I can genuinely enjoy. The director of this directed In the Heights, which was one of my favorite movies from 2021. So I was pretty excited to go into this movie. What I think about it, I'll tell you here in this review. But before I get started, please make sure to subscribe, like button, hit the bell, and comment down below as your opinions on the movie Wicked. I'm going to go see Gladiator 2 soon enough. I don't know when I'm going to see it, but it will be in this next week. Then I'll have a review for that. So stay tuned. And with that said, here we go, talking about Wicked. Before we get started with this review, just want to mention that, and this is me after filming that, just want to mention that I do have brief, kind of spoilery topics. If you very much don't want to know a single thing about the movie going into it, if you like didn't watch the trailers or anything, didn't know anything about it, don't watch this video. Because I do touch on specific things that we've seen in the trailer and kind of knew going into it. I don't go into full spoilers, but I did do that. So if you're very particular about that, click off. And for the most part, I think that this is a great movie with some minor frustrating reservations. And the frustrating reservations are things that keep coming back to mind in my head, like, oh, okay, yeah, there was that I didn't mind. But overall, I found the movie to be great, but there's just a couple minor frustrating things that got a little bit under my skin to prevent this one from being perfect. Okay, so we got a lot to discuss here in the great category. The first one, the cast. Cynthia Erivo as Elpatha, I hope I said all of those pronunciations right, and Ariana Grande are both phenomenal in this movie, have fantastic chemistry with each other, and that they're what really carry this movie. For the first hour or so, they barely had any screen time, but when they did have, or screen time together, but when they had screen time together, they definitely shined in this movie and is what made it work. They both had great chemistry, and the more the movie goes along, the more you have the great scenes. And some great scenes are when they're singing in the big musical numbers and they're together. They both have fantastic chemistry. The rest of this cast is pretty great as well. Everyone owns their role. The musical numbers are great. They are all fantastic singers. Found the cast to be great, and the chemistry of the two leads are really what propelled this one. Speaking of the musical numbers, they are great. They're pretty great. There's one or two I wasn't a huge big fan of, but for the most part, they were catchy. They were really, really like stuck in your head type stuff. Like specifically, you got to think about the library scene, or I think of Popular. That song, they were great, and the dance choreography that they all had in the scenes were really great. I found from the very beginning, that first one, I was like, oh, I'm not a huge fan of that, but soon it all popped together. The dance choreography really worked, all kind of merged together right there to be a pretty great musical. I like musicals, and film musicals, I think, never really have a lot of songs, at least enough to like make you be like, okay, stop with the songs here. At least live action musicals. But this one, I feel like, had a nice amount of songs, and they were all pretty great. We got to talk about the third act of this movie, and that was where it all turned great. I kind of realized that going into the third act, like, oh, we haven't really had much of a story here. And I find that it's a little mixed here. I find that the first 2 hours of the movie were better than the last 40 minutes. Because it's where we're at the school and we're hanging out with the characters. And again, that chemistry is what propels it forward to be a great movie. And then the last 40 minutes was a little bit mixed, where I started to be like, oh, okay, I'm kind of getting uninvested here. And then, like, we get the big reveals and everything that's happening. I'm like, okay, I'm all in. And then, like, the final 10 minutes were kind of just repetitive. Like, yeah, we get the point. We get your point. Why are we still going on? A little bit frustrating there. But the last 40 minutes, and I find the whole reveal with the wizard to be actually awesome. Jeff Goldblum plays him perfectly. Actually, when they first got to the wizard, I found like it was like, oh, this is awkward. Like Jeff Goldblum kind of making everything awkward here. I'm not sure I like this. And then like we get the reveals and it's like, holy crap, this is what we're going through here. And when I said at the very beginning of the video that I wasn't sure what I thought of like the two parts, both 3 hours long, this one needs a second part because this part was all of the the prologue. We're setting up the characters, their relationships, and then we finally learn what's actually going on. And the second movie is going to be the one that's story heavy, like that's expanding on what we learned in this movie and to kind of finish it out. Instantly shot up my most anticipated list of next year. I'm very excited for part 2. But yeah, the last 40 minutes was a little bit mixed where, you know, like kind of awkward at the beginning, awesome for the next 20 minutes, and then the final 10 minutes was, oh, okay. We get your point. This is a villain origin story that kind of works. It does what a villain origin story should do, where you get the Disney live action ones that try to make you feel bad for the villain, and it never works. This one, you do. You can genuinely believe that the events of this movie and what you're going to assume are going to be the events of part 2 are going to lead into The Wizard of Oz. You can totally feel that, yeah, the wizard in the original Wizard of Oz was a bad guy. And you can totally feel that, hey, Wicked Witch of the West is actually kind of a good guy, and we should be kind of rooting for her here in this sense. Thought it did that very, very well, where it kind of flipped our perspectives on it, and I could totally believe that this is in the same canon as the original Wizard of Oz. It does what a villain prequel should do, and it does it pretty expertly. I really, really enjoyed that aspect of the film as well. The film is also beautiful to look at. I've seen some people say that it's like grainy Hollywood stuff. I thought it was beautiful to look at. From the trailers, the thing I was most excited about was the like not chemistry, but the cinematography, the landscape, what it's going to look at, and it looks great. Like, I didn't watch this in IMAX or a super screen or anything. I just watched it on a regular theater, and it's kind of like it transports you directly into this world, and it is beautiful from the very start. A beautiful world and a great world building here as well. So as you can tell, this is a movie that I really, really enjoyed. I found the chemistry between the two leads to be great, found the musical numbers and dance choreography to be fantastic. I found some of the plot in the end where we lead up to the second part to be great. I found that it kind of works as a worthy prequel to makes you believe that it is actually before original Wizard of Oz. And overall, it's a beautiful movie to look at. I really, really, really enjoyed this movie. Now it's time to talk about the brief reservations I have here. And we kind of touched upon them in the last 40 minutes where I kind of got uninvested there for a little bit. There was a certain plot line featuring like a love triangle that I didn't really find too investing. And when that was there, I was kind of like, oh, okay. And kind of zoned out during that plot. And when a movie can kind of make you zone out, like, I don't know if it was just a me problem, if I like, I don't know. But I zoned out, and it's worth speaking of here. And then kind of like we go to the Wizard of Oz, and we get to the Emerald City, and we get something cool happening here. And then like you meet Jeff Goldblum, and it's like, okay, yeah, we have a scene where he's like, what color should I put this road? Like, okay, fan service much? That was a little bit over the top. And then again, we get the 20 minutes of like, oh, shoot, that's actually really cool. And then we get the final 10 minutes where it's like, okay, we get your point. You're singing the song. We know exactly what's going to happen here. Kind of left a minor sour taste in my mouth. But it's worth mentioning that there were parts that I did get uninvested in, especially as long as the movie goes along. When we are into the middle, I thought this was a great movie. I thought it was going to for sure be in my top 10 of the year. And then kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah, that was a great movie. And I feel like a lot of these minor issues I have with the film will be definitely ironed out on rewatch. If I give a rewatch to this movie, which I most certainly will when it comes out on 4K, instant purchase, and I will rewatch it probably the same night, I feel like it'll iron out a lot of the kinks. I feel like I'll know more about it and like notice more things and enjoy it even more. And not to say I didn't enjoy it, I really did enjoy it. I think it's a great movie. It's in my top 20 of the year, but there were just minor issues that I think the score could go up higher than I'm going to give it if only I did a rewatch. And I'm considering, I would consider going to the theater to see this a second time, but I can't because Gladiator 2 and then Moana 2 next week, so there's that. But just minor things, and I feel like it's more of a me problem. I feel like it's more of a me problem than a problem that a lot of other people are going to have with this movie. And so it's just worth mentioning that there are certain things that are just like kind of got me uninvested. But I don't know how the general audience is going to react to that. That's just how I reacted to that. All right, so before I give you my final score for Wicked, please make sure to subscribe, like button, hit the bell, and comment down below what is your opinions on Wicked if you have seen it. With that said, Wicked, for the most part, is a great movie. Great cast, great chemistry, great musical numbers, a story that works. It works as a prequel. I enjoyed the characters. Genuinely had a great time watching this movie with my grandmother. But there were minor reservations that prevented this one from being a perfect movie for me. And the final 10 minutes of the movie kind of put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Not that the final 10 minutes were bad, but because they moved on a little bit too much. With that said, Wicked for me is going to get an A-. I had a lot of thoughts on this movie. There they are. As soon as it comes out on 4K, I will purchase it, give it a rewatch, and I'm instantly shooting up Wicked Part 2 higher on my most anticipated of 2025 list. All right, again, tell me down below what did you guys think of Wicked, and why. Subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell so you never miss another video. Stay tuned for a couple more big videos. I've recorded it, and I'm editing it right now. The horror video will be up very soon. And with that said, subscribe to Unlearned Army. Peace out.